sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uvracha. Try with us. Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uvracha. Ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la la la. Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uvracha. Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uvracha. Laila, everyone. Ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la la la. Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uvracha. Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uvracha. That's what you call Jewish soul music, right?
It's jumpy. It gets you moving. It's really
So
nice.
before you start, I just want to know, can you hear all the instruments? Can you hear everybody? All right, great. Thank you.
Welcome, Shabbat Shalom. One more time, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Welcome to our first indoor service of our new season as we head to the High Holy Days. We're moving in, even though the weather is nice. This is our chance to come back to the regular year. For some of us in this house, in this room, we have kids or others that have gone back to work. We have teachers among us and grandchildren that perhaps went back to school. Anyone in your family go back to work or school this week? Yeah, I see we have Elise back there. She went back to school this week, yeah. So it was a big week, and we transition outside of the outdoor, the summer space into where we are now. It's going to be a really joyous service tonight, and really wonderful to have our members of the CSS band here together. Let's take a nice deep breath of Shabbat air. We breathe in everything we want to hold on to, all those precious moments from this past week, and we can breathe out everything we want to expel. I'm going to invite Bruce over here to do the first official welcome of our new season.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Let's hope our first evening of the new season goes as well as the Bills did last night.
Yeah.
Rabbi's going to stomp out one of the other temples tonight. How's that?
From LA.
From LA. Stamp out a temple. Okay, that'll work. Anyway, it's nice to see everyone. Kind of ironic. We make plans to come back inside, and we have an 80-degree day. But that's okay. This is our next step. This is that time of year as we make the transition and move inside. And high holidays are fast approaching. And this year we will be doing a relatively normal high holiday season. Everything will be here inside. We're not restricting the number of people, things like that. So we're making steps. We're taking steps and moving forward, and it's a wonderful thing. And as the rabbi said, we got members of the band tonight. Cantor pulled this all together. This is great. If Mike only was playing a guitar or something, we'd
Yeah,
have
talk him into
we'd have
it,
a string
please.
quartet up there.
Talk him into it.
That would be very nice. We got to come up with a name. Cantor Frank and like Ronnie, and the Ronettes? Cantor Frank and the Frankettes. What do you
And
think?
Cantor-
There we go. Anyway,
Wait,
I'll be back
Chris
later.
had an idea. What was that?
Frank and the Frankfurters.
The Frankfurt. That's what I was
Frankfurters.
going to say.
And the kosher Frankfurters. Anyway, it's good to see you guys. I'll
And
be
the
back with
kosher Franks.
abbreviated announcements a little later, and enjoy a really special first indoor service of the year.
And Chris, we're not going to let you leave because you're going to come over here and light our first candles, and you get to do something special in just a minute. Candles are on page 120,
Yes,
120 in our prayer book. Cantor, excuse me. I got to get this out of the way beforehand. It's a good thing we have the whole band here. Cantor is going to lead the prayer as we welcome in Shabbat with our lights.
In just a few weeks, we'll be singing Shabbat v'Shel Yom Tov. In just a couple weeks. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat.
May these candles light our way through Shabbat, providing light and sustenance as we head into our period of rest. Before we have you lift that cup, this is a very sacred occasion. For the first time in almost 2 years, we have it filled. We're not going to quite get to that because we have a song beforehand. It's traditional. Are we doing Shalom Aleichem now? Or?
Sure, whatever you want, or we can do it after, so you can just go back.
I think we could do it. Traditionally, before we do the Kiddush, we do Shalom Aleichem. That's on page
Nice.
142. And we are going to welcome in Shabbat. I want you to think about, Bruce, you're going to be lifting a full cup. It might be heavier than you're used to here. And no spillage. Joanne got a new cup that you can wash off. It has plastic inside of it.
So
A
be
COVID
careful
cup.
when you lift it and start to put it towards you that it doesn't.
Yeah, knowing Joanne is a herbal.
All right, Shalom Aleichem.
2, 3, 4. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bokem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech, Malachei Amalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech, Malachei Amalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Say to him. Say to him l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech, Malachei Amalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
And the moment of victory, the moment of truth has arrived, and we've read. Is it? Page 123. We'll have.
More than 2 years. Our last normal service was March of 2020.
Yeah. Well, it was about a month after that we stopped putting it because it just ended up sitting here for the entire time. So Cantor will lead us as we sanctify the day of Shabbat 123.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hakafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinkilanu zikaron lemase v'reshit ki hu yom techilah lemikra'ei kodesh Zeket Yetziat Mitzrayim Kivanu V'acharta V'yotanu Kidashta Mikol Hamim V'Shabbat Kodshecha Be'ahava Uveratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai B'kadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. And together we're going to say L'chaim. L'chaim! How was the wine? It's been sitting there for 2 years. Yes. Mivushal. Yeah, sure. Koach. It is really nice. We're going to rise. Oh, sorry. Before we rise, we have L'chadodi. You could sit. Sorry, Charlie. I made a mistake. L'chadodi is on page 138. We're going to sing the first and last verses. On the last verse, we're going to face our doorways over here. We'll bow as Shabbat comes into our room, and then we'll welcome one another with waves.
2, 3, 4. Lecha lecha dodi, likat likakala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likat likakala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela. La 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 la. Lecha dodi, likat likakala, pene pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likat likakala. Shemov v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el ha'michad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'niki la 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 la, Echad odi, likat likakala, P'nei p'nei Shabbat likabala. Echad odi, likat likakala, P'nei p'nei Shabbat likabala. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, Ram b'simcha u'v'sola, Tak emunei am sigula, Boi kala, boi kala. Lecha lecha dodi, likat likakala, P'nei p'nei Shabbat likabala. Lecha lecha dodi, likat likakala, P'nei p'nei Shabbat likabala. La 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 la. Lecha dodi, likat likakala, P'nei p'nei Shabbat likabala. Lecha lecha dodi, likat likakala, P'nei p'nei Shabbat
We remain standing on page 145. Let's read together in English this beautiful poem. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. Our call of community on page 146.
2, 3, 4. La 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 Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Le'olam Vaed La 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 la
Page 149 at the top. Let's read together in the English. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the ways on which time and seasons glide. Your breath guides the sails of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. We remain standing for the Shema, 152, 153.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
You may be seated. We turn to page 154 of Yahavta.
Yahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'kol levavecha v'b'kol nafshecha v'b'kol meyotecha v'hayu hadavarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavcha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha v'lechtecha v'derech v'shachbecha v'kumecha v'kshartam levot hayadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha וכתבתם המזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Page 155, we'll read together in the English. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God, who led you. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. We turn to the prayer about leaving Egypt, 158, Mi Chamocha.
2, 3, 4.
We are back in the sanctuary. That means it is time to hear once again on 161, Let There Be Love.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu l'shalom. V'hamidenu, shomrenu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu, sukat shalom lecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu l'shalom. Let there be love, everyone. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us.
invite you to rise, those of you who are able, for the Amidah. It starts on page 164 till 180. Take your own opportunity for your private prayers, and whenever you're ready, you may be seated.
I forgot to introduce this. This is our Oseh Shalom, where I sing a phrase and you repeat after by Yofi Yah. So when I say Oseh Shalom, you say Oseh Shalom, Oseh Shalom. 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 Shalom, Shalom. Shalom, Shalom. Shalom, Shalom. Shalom.
I feel like we just traveled somewhere. Is that from, like, it's almost like Indian?
It's influenced by that, yes. I think they call that a raga. Michael, you studied Indian music. Is that what they call a raga?
No.
No? What would you call the song that repeats over and over again? Yeah. He studied drums with a famous Indian drummer.
We're going to turn our attention to those in need of prayers. The prayers on page 371, the Mishaberach. And our thoughts and prayers, let's direct them towards Mark Clay, Drew Dembowitz, Sue Frank, Antonio Franzen, Leslie Garfinkel, Sharon Gray, Irene Green, Dennis Halpin, Baharat Kelly, Mark Nightinger, Jill Kalaga, Ruth and Diane Lansing, Joe Malucci, Jill Shire Monahan, Ann Oppenheim, Shell Rossi, Brandon Ryan, Joyce Seitz, Deb Serino, William Scretney, Nicholas Warren Tepper, Kristen Walker, Anita Wiesel, Mike Wheeler, Christine Zalowiski, and Hannah Ezra Ben Shuel. If there's other names you're thinking about?
Alex Paulson Jr. Michael Bernstein and Rodney Caravan. Ricardo Friedman. Alana Tweedy. Len Park.
Paul Cheney and Jerry Cheney.
Craig Crawford.
Julia Cohen.
We bring all those names into our heart as we sing the Mishaberach together.
2, 3, 4. Mishaberach Avotenu Mikor Abracha Imotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mikor Abracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
May our prayers extend to where they're needed, and all of us here have a refuah shlema, and all that we love and dearly, may they also have that healing. It's so important that we direct our attention, and we know how much it means to those in our lives whose names we've mentioned. So this week, Shabbat Shalom again. Shabbat Shalom. Tonight, as I was waving like this, telling you to do a kingly and queenly wave, I kind of felt a little sad, right? We had a major passing yesterday. The same day the Bills had their tremendous victory. It's a little bittersweet, but wonderful day for us, a hard day in the world. Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom ruled from February 6th. I didn't know, that's my daughter's birthday, 1952. How many of you remember that? How old were you, Harvey? Come on, you must have been like 5 years old then. 10 years old. Wow, incredible. All the way until this past week, 70 years, 214 days. The longest of any British monarch, and the longest female ruler in anywhere in the world. Incredible. I did hear she had 50 prime ministers, or she met 50 prime ministers. It's incredible. Oh, 15. Okay, that makes more sense. I thought, well, maybe I heard it wrong. When we think about someone like Elizabeth II, she really represents history. Even in my lifetime, I remember so many of the royal events on TV, some of the bad stuff too, but all of the wonders and the pageantry that we don't have here. And the Queen has been a major part of all of our lives and all the lives of almost everyone in the world. My daughter actually turned to me and she said, "Abba, isn't it interesting that within a couple of minutes, every single person in the world knew that the Queen had died?" Or she said a day. And that's probably almost true, which is incredible to think that everyone woke up and they knew that. There's a wonderful speech that she gave on Christmas in 1957. Some of you might remember this. This is actually, TV was becoming more normative, and she wanted to humanize the monarchy in Britain. And so she invited everyone into their home with the cameras. And the famous speech, she said the following words. If you've watched The Crown, anyone watch The Crown here? Yeah. This was recorded there. She said, "It is inevitable that I should seem a rather remote figure to many of you, a successor to the kings and queens of history, someone whose face may be familiar in newspapers and films, but who never really touches your personal lives. But now, at least for a few minutes, I welcome you to the peace of my own home." It was very powerful words to really open up her home in a way that never could have been done prior without television cameras to her entire nation and in some ways to the entire world. When she was speaking this speech, and I listened onto the radio of this excerpt, it really struck me that when you look at Queen Elizabeth II, it was like you were looking at history. You couldn't just see her, you saw all the history before. Usually when I say kingly and queenly waves, it feels like I can say that because we're so far removed from it. It doesn't feel like I'm offending anyone. I'm just saying this is how I learned, because it doesn't seem part of our world at all. So when you think about Queen Elizabeth II, it was almost like she was part of that other world, like we were watching history there. And we knew in this moment that it would happen sooner or later. She was quite elderly at this point, and it was going to be a matter of time where we're going to have to say goodbye. And for most of us in this room, probably at least half of us in this room, you've never known another king or queen of England, which is quite remarkable. I was in the Urban League, the Buffalo Urban League this week. I met with the executive, Thomas Buford, who's going to Israel on our civic leaders trip in February. And I got to go and tour. The Urban League is a wonderful place. It's right downtown, a couple blocks from the Hyatt. And it does so much. It has a whole education wing. And it does foster parenting. It helps with job placement and all different things. It's quite incredible, the work. And when you walk into the office, you feel the history. On their walls, they have displays. This is on the third floor there. They have displays of their history from 1927 all the way. It stops in 2002. I think whoever put together these displays, probably that was the end of when they did it. But you can see all the pictures from 1927, all of the wonderful things and the people that were attached. And Thomas Buford took us through and pointed to many people that maybe we were familiar with. I was with Mara Coven-Gelman at the Jewish Community Relations Council. And I felt this is an organization that understands history. History is so important. It's how we remember. I've been reading Isaac Asimov's The Foundation. Has anyone read that before? And in it says, what that the greatest human invention is not fire or the wheel or any of the things that we think about. It's history. Our ability to talk and tell stories from thousands of years ago. When we walk into the room, we have history right here in our prayer book. We have history in all the implements around it. We have history, of course, in our Torah. We capture not just our history, but generations and generations of history. Whether you realize it or not, this prayer book is made up of prayers, some that are recently written and some that extend back at least 2,500 years. It reflects an entire gamut of history right there. Memory. How do we remember? I looked up a couple of quotes about memory. First, from Winnie the Pooh. We didn't realize we were making memories. We just thought we were having fun. I like that one. And another one that was anonymous. You are slowly losing your memories. You just don't know which ones. When we think about memory, it's a hard thing. It's hard for us to remember the next day, let alone, 10 years ago. Some of us have picture-perfect memories. Others, like myself, if I remember what I ate for breakfast, half the time I get up on Friday and I think, did I wear this tie last week? I have to think about it pretty closely, and sometimes I'm wrong. So memory is like that. How do we remember, not just as individuals, but collectively? And that is the most amazing thing that humans do. Not that an individual human being can remember anything, but that we can remember collectively. In the Torah, there are actually 100, this is the entire Tanakh, not just the Torah, 124 times we are told to remember. 124 times. And here, I made a list of all the items in the Torah that we are told to remember. Ready? Here's the list. Some of them you'll probably guess. Remember my covenant. Okay. Remember Joseph. Remember my faults. That was Joseph speaking, not God. Remember the day you came out of Egypt. Remember the Sabbath day. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember the fish we ate in Egypt. Remember all the commandments. Remember that you were a slave in Egypt. Remember Adonai, your God. Remember how you provoked Adonai to anger. Remember what Amalek did to you. Remember the days of old. I mention this because in this week's Torah portion, we have one of those memories. In chapter 24 of Deuteronomy, verse 9, remember what the Lord your God did to Miriam along the way after you came out of Egypt. In this case, it's talking about the leprosy that we had read about, but it's about remembering story. And we have a lot of techniques in Judaism for remembering. We have our prayer book. We have our holidays. We have rituals that are built in. We emphasize story over and over and over again. At any one time, we're either standing at Mount Sinai, that pivotal point, or leaving Egypt. Any one of those moments, those pivotal moments are retold over and over again. We tell it with food. We tell it with story. We tell it with song. We tell it over and over and over again. Because if we don't tell it in an infinite number of ways, we're going to forget. And if we forget, all of us forget. One of the things that I love at a Jewish funeral, what do we say? We say, Zikrona or Zikrona, no, Livracha. May their memory be for a blessing. It's a very interesting phrase. I don't think any other religion has something similar to this. May your memory be for a blessing. There is an understanding deep within us as human beings, but definitely as Jews and part of the Jewish community, that memory is so sacred, it is the highest blessing that we can give someone after they've died. If we can remember them for a blessing. And what does that mean? I always wonder, what does it mean? And we don't know exactly, but I feel like when you remember someone for a blessing, you remember the good times. You remember the happy times. You remember the stories and the times that you shared. Well, Queen Elizabeth II was not part of any of our lives. I don't know. Did anyone here meet her? No. Maybe we know someone.
No, I didn't meet her. She was coronated the next couple of days after that. She came in her carriage with a horse around London. And she was in she came in our neighborhood. And I can remember I was a young teenager. And when she came, everybody just waved to her. Something I can never forget.
I just want to relate because people on the stream didn't hear, but Irv was saying when during the coronation and he was a young man, she came all the way through London and he had a chance to wave and see her. And it still stuck with you today. That's the joy and the gift of memory. So as we say goodbye to this period, and we don't know what period, but I doubt we'll ever see in our lifetime certainly any such thing where someone has that stamina for 70 years to serve as the ruler of her country, or in that role that we saw with Queen Elizabeth II. May her memory be for a blessing, Zikrona Livracha. And speaking of memory, I thought this year, this Shabbat, that it would be very important to show you a little bit of our synagogue memory. We've been trying to build it up in our building, and we have our brand new picture, our drone picture. Hold that up nice and high and show the band as well. Look at that. Years from now, you're going to say, I was in that picture. 10 years, it's important that we see it around the building. And when you come in, when you walk around, you're going to see many more reflections of not just of our predecessors, of things donated to us, but of our community and people in it. We really thank Joanne, but also Nancy McGorry in our office, and Cantor has done, and Kyle. A lot of us have contributed to making Shir Shalom feel its history, just like I felt at the Urban League this week. So again, may the Queen's memory be for a blessing. I know when I go to Canada my next time, they'll have King Charles. Yeah, so I'll be reading a blessing. All of our Canadian neighbors, our Jewish neighbors, they say the blessing for the king in their services every week. They'll have it. And my children also asked, is there going to be new money, Abba? Right? Do they have to print all new money in Canada now? Wow. Yeah. In 2 years. Incredible. All right. So we are moving back in our service, and thank you, Joanne, for bringing that around. We are ready for Aleinu. So let's rise as people reinvigorated to make a difference in this world. Page 586.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon ha'kol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא סבנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני המלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
You may be seated. On that day, all will be one. We will all be one and unified together. We're going to turn to our Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. This week, Susan Schwartz lost her mom, Ruth Hellman. This is not Susan Schwartz over at the BJE or at the Link Buffalo. There's there's a member also named Susan Schwartz. Ruth Hellman, she was 103, Holocaust survivor, incredible. Susan was telling me about her mom's life. She was buried in New York City, but really incredible, and I hope Susan can share her story with our community. It's really incredible. We're also thinking about George Bukowski, Nicholas Carasello, Dennis Locke, Helene Mesh, Gary Rawlinson, Irving Slater, Helen Weiser, and Tricia Woodson, all who died in the last month. And on our yard site list from years past, we remember Max Berger, Francis Bink, Marcy Berzone, Raymond D. Bluestein, N. Robert Capone, Yetta Churgel, Joseph Comey, Manya Dudek, Isidore Feld, Sarah K. Foreman, Benjamin Glasser, Irwin M. Harvey, Harold Addison Hawkins, Betty Jacobson, Saul Cantor, Fred Krieger, Herman Levine, Lilo Lindenfeld, Jeffrey Lyons, Barney Marks, Abe Martin, Robert Miller, Pauline Newman, Patricia Nemiski, Adele Organic, Henry Padikoff, Tilly Seitz, Molly Moses Smith, Sarah Snyderman, Leah Sugar, Rose Simons, and Mordechai Yud. If there's other names, we'll add the Queen to our list as well. If there's other names that you have. All those whose custom it is to rise. Page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. V'alma divrach urte v'yamlik malchute. V'chayechon v'yamachon v'chayed echol Beit Yisrael v'galau v'yisman kariv v'yamru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah v'varach le'olam olmei olmaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'rechu. Le'la min kol birchata v'shirata tush berchata v'nechamata damiran b'alma v'yamru amen. Yehi shlam Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yamru amen. O says shalom b'mramav. Huya says shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yamru amen. May the one who creates harmony and high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to all the world, and we say amen.
Amen.
You may be seated. Zikronam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. I'd like to invite Bruce back to give the announcements.
Speaking of memories, Rabbi, I put together a book of portraits of all of our Purim Spiel players. If you haven't seen it, anyone who's come to my office for portraits, it's on the coffee table out there, so you might get a kick of some of these
It is a
humorous
hoot and a half.
portraits. You're in there,
I'm
Bruce.
in there. So are you guys. Jill, you're in it. Sheila's in it. I'm trying to think who else is in the room that's in it, but it's
Robin and Alan.
yeah. I
and
pointed at them earlier. Yeah, it's
Michael Frisch
where's
is
Mike?
in
Mike
it,
is in it,
and
of course.
Rabbi's in it. I'm
Rabbi
in
is
it.
in
The
it,
guy,
yeah.
all the guys are in it.
Yeah, it's there's
Harvey's in it.
great pictures in there, so please check that out. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Mazel. By the way, my memory of Queen Elizabeth, I'm different than most people. Her sense of humor. Does anyone remember when she visited Washington when the first President Bush was president? And he's like 6'3", and she was like 5'1", and he spoke, and they didn't adjust the podium when she came up next, and there's the podium, and all you saw was her hat. And no one adjusted it while she was doing it. And the next day she spoke at Congress, and the first thing she said was, "I trust you can see me now." That's one of my memories of her. She had a good sense of humor. Anyway, Mazel Tov to Talia Fadum and her family on her upcoming bat mitzvah tomorrow morning. Thank you to our service greeter this evening, Jill Hamilton. Thank you to Cantor Frank for quite the elaborate sound setup tonight and for putting the band together. And thank you to the boys in the band for helping out this evening. A very memorable way for us to begin indoor
Well,
service season.
With Paul's passing, we're looking at every month, you know, in some configuration or another, every month being here, you know, according to schedules and things. So
great.
helping the load,
Yes.
lift the load.
Lift the load a little bit. Tomorrow morning, virtual offerings, Torah study at 9 a.m. via Zoom. The Shabbat morning service and Bat Mitzvah of Talia Fedem will be live streamed via Boxcast. The website has those links. Shabbatas is back Tuesday from 4 to 7 or from 4 o'clock on or until sold out. This is so as we move indoors on our services, we are also moving into the next phase of our Shabbatas. We're going to do one in September after doing 2 a month all summer long. We're going to do one in September, one in October, one in November, and one in December as our Shabbat season winds down a bit. And again, it has been so important to us. In fact, anyone in the room who is a Shabbat volunteer, please stand up because we have quite a few of you here. Look at this. Look at this. These are all people who help out every 2 weeks.
You guys should be standing. All these guys here.
Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you everyone because it is so important. And thank you to everyone who supports it. So make sure that you make your purchase in advance on the website so you can come and get it on Tuesday. We have a new thing coming up. Well, it's not that new. We're 2 weeks into it. 4-session class being offered by Dr. Yunina Foster. And I'm butchering it, but it's called Cheshon Hanefesh. Hanefesh. And this is basically to help prepare you with a personal accounting and inventory of the soul before Rosh Hashanah. It's on Tuesday evenings from 6:15 to 7 p.m. via Zoom. We've had 2, but you can join anytime. Talk to Joanne if you'd like to learn more. Remember, your service leaflet now contains a list of upcoming events, so you don't have to hear me drone on and on and on. So take that home with you, put it on your refrigerator. You'll have what's coming up in the next week. If you need anything at all, please feel free to reach out to the rabbi, the cantor, Joanne, Todd, or myself. We are here for you. Shabbat Shalom. Please, we're having an onig tonight. We're back indoors. We had wine. We have ice cream. Wine and ice cream. That goes well together. Anyway, perfect. It's 80 degrees out there today. Let's do ice cream. So Joanne and Robert are setting it up right now. So please enjoy some ice cream on the way out. Shabbat Shalom.
Bruce, your mom is in it too. Your mom's in the book, yeah.
As Lilac?
As Lilac. Lilac the clown.
And Cantor, I think we had some exciting news. I think we're going to have a choir this week. Is that?
Yeah, no one's gotten together yet.
Oh, okay.
and our pianist is out of town, but when he comes back next week, we'll start to get the choir together, and we'll actually have some our lay choir too. The CSS singers will be joining us too, so there will be a lot of voices this High Holy Day season.
We also have exciting news. A religious school is back on Sunday, which will be quite exciting. We have the community religious school that Shir Shalom hosts. All right, we are ready for Adon Olam, and I think you're going to like this melody.
Yeah.
If Bruce knew about it, he'd probably tell a joke, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's from our Shabbat Shalom Mr. Dillon service. It's our go-to Adon Olam. We just love doing it, and I hope you'll all sing along in hearty. And here we go. Let's see. 2, 3, 4. Adon Olam, Hashem Alav, B'terem kol yitzir nivra, li'et nasa b'chetzo kol, Hazai melech shemo nikra. Everyone! Adon Olam, 625. Shemala, B'terem kol yitzir nivra, Ve'acharei kiglot hakol, לבדו לא נורא, והוא היה, והוא הופך, והוא יהיה בתפארה. Everyone! אדון עולם, השם עליו, לטרם כל יציר נברא. והוא אחד ואין שני, לחמשילו להכבירה, בלי ראשית בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה. אדון עולם, השם מלך, לטרם כל יציר נברא. והוא אלי לחי גואלי, לצחב ליבי אין צרה. והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, ונקוסי ויום אקרא. אדון עולם, אדון עולם, השם מלך, לטרם כל יציר נברא. בידו אפקיר רוחי, והייתי שם ואירא. ויהי רוחי יפיעתי, אדוני לי אלוהי רע. אדון עולם, השם מלך, לטרם כל יציר נברא. The answer, my friend, the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Bruce, you like that one, right? All right, we're ready for Hamotzi, and we had a number of birthdays in our community this week, at least two I see. Tom, right? It was your birthday, and it was Joe Freudenheim's birthday over here. We'll have to split the challah in half or get another challah. So either of you want the challah? Tom wants it. Yeah, come on. Yeah? Okay, Tom's got it. Okay, but we'll do it in honor of Joe and Tom's birthdays, okay? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'te'avon. As you came in peace, may you leave in peace. Please return your prayer book minus the leaflet to the front of the sanctuary. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. 2, 3, 4. Hab mir gewandert in der Land der Freien, a Reus von mir wie mi Mitzrayim, gesucht danach Jerusalem. Das ist ein Land von mir. sie verschotten sich wie Menschen, betten es bei alles, darf ich sich klären. Sie, das ist ein Land von mir und dir. Das Land ist dein Land, das Land ist mein Land. Von Kalifornien bis sein Land. Und die größte unseres ist der Brite Yamen. Das ist ein Land von mir und dir. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land is a land was made for you and me. Thank you. Pleasure. Pleasure's mine. Ashlosha. You ready? Chris, I haven't been able to hear you the whole night, but I have you all the way up. So here we go. 2, 3, 4. Ashlosha Devarim. Ashlosha Devarim. Ha'olam omed. Ashlosha Devarim. Ha'olam